I feel like it's always going to be a gender thing in the culinary world.
Honestly, it's like, how? Like, it's like, I don't know how it's going to change, honestly.
I just think the industry's very different than what it used to be.
It's worked for a million years. Why are we changing it? Because it fucking sucks.
Like, what's the part that needs to change? You know, why do I need to be an asshole?
Keep fighting the good fight and do what you love and don't let anyone say that you can't.
You know, as much as right now we can say that, yes, it is a male-dominated industry, we're coming up.
You're listening to Copper and Heat, the podcast exploring the unspoken rules and traditions of restaurants. I'm Kiah Fuller, and Rachel, our lovely producer, is back again with me today to help wrap up this mini-series we've been doing, celebrating 5 years of Copper and Heat.
Hi, Katie.
Hello. So we've been taking a little trip back 5 years to when we started Copper and Heat and talking about what has changed and what hasn't. And we've been listening to some of the tape from way back then and getting some updates on the stats, but also getting some updates from the people that we talked to back then. In the previous episodes, you heard from my friends Edelyn and Courtney, and in this episode, we're talking to Kiah.
Hi, I'm Kiah Fuller. I am owner of Far Out Catering, still going strong.
So that's Kiah now. We're going to go back to where Kiah was 5 years ago in season 1.
Being sensitive, especially in a kitchen, being a woman, it's seen as a weakness.
This is Kiah.
So as women, you try your hardest to be the strong one, be able to stand your ground and have a backbone in the kitchen. So when it comes to things like, oh, that probably would have hurt your feelings or didn't really sit right with you, it's like kind of trying to be insensitive to the things that you should be sensitive about. We should be able to stand up for it and be able to take action. But at the same time, like when you're in that situation, what do you do?
It's really funny hearing Kiah say that 5 years ago, because she's technically still working the same job. She started her own catering company because she had already figured out back in 2017 that, like, yeah, this sucks and this is not built for me. So yeah, that's what I love about where Kiah is now and where she was 5 years ago.
I started Far Out Catering November 2017. So it had been just about almost 6 months into Far Out Catering. Yeah. Big change for sure. Still super like nervous and just jumping into like, owning a catering company. I was still like working other side jobs at the time too, just so I can make like ends meet. I originally have always had the mindset, like since 14 years old, like always wanted to be a chef and work in a restaurant or have my own restaurant. Like that has always been the dream. But I think the Plume Tours was a huge like slap, not a slap in the face, but very much a wide awakening to realizing like how difficult it is, and just not just that, but like how competitive that industry is and cutthroat. And so for me, that 1 year was very telling. Like I enjoyed every part of working in the Plume Tours. Like I feel like I learned a lot in the one department that I was in. I didn't have the mobility like I wish I had at Plume Tours. But yeah, no, it was definitely a switch for me, only in the sense because when I graduated from culinary school, me and Carla were like, well, okay, we're new at this. So catering just seems like a safer bet just right out the door. And so definitely going back into the restaurant industry is something that we want, or like we're striving to, like, but creating a space for ourselves, not necessarily getting in someone else's space.
You also mentioned something else that I wanted to talk to you about, because something that we talked about in the first season feels like a lifetime ago.
It really
does. Was kind of that upward mobility or lack of upward mobility for you, and you were kind of like put into the pastry department, and then you weren't able to do savory, which is what you sounded like really wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I wanted to just ask you about that. How have your feelings about that changed or not over the last 5 years?
Right. So it's funny. I was actually reflecting today on my experience at the Plume Tours, and I don't want to put like in a negative light, like they just didn't want to give me mobility or anything like that. I'm trying to like kind of see from like their perspective as to why they kept me at the position of where I was. And I mean, I think the full bigger picture of it all is like when I was working at the Plumed Horse, we had our internship for three months, and then I was hired on for additional 7. So it was a matter of like I was working not just the Plumed Horse, but I also had 2 other jobs too. So I just think that if anything, the head chef there saw that my brain was everywhere, all at once. So you will get that mobility. If the kitchen's your life and that's it, then okay, great. Like we'll give you the opportunities you need to move up. But I feel like I mean, I'll be honest, like I don't think I gave the Plumed Horse my end all be all because there's no way to survive that way. I moved to the Bay Area not knowing a single person. I don't have family here and things like that. And so where I was living, I had to pay rent, things like that. And we know how much we were paid. We were paid $12 an hour. Like I tell people that now and they're like mind blown.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was only 2017, like it wasn't that far long ago. And so for me to survive and pay culinary school and to get through and pay like my bills and things, I had a second job. So I worked from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., got off my ship. I took a nap in my car for 1 hour, scarfed down food, and then I started my shift at the Plumed Horse. And I only negotiated that schedule with the head chef at the time, only because it was like I was in pastry, it was the last dish out. And so it gave me time to mise en place like all my stuff, all my courses during all the other courses, So it makes sense to me now looking back at it as to why they probably just kept me there. It was like, well, you're showing up late to work every day, like, well, I'm not, like I'm getting off a job to get to another job,
Right.
It's not like I'm just like sleeping at home, like I have to like make ends meet. And I was like, at that time of working at Plumed Horse, I was working almost 80 hours a week. Like it was insane. And so I understand where it's like, well, usually the person who shows up early and leaves late is the one that will get that mobility. But there was no opportunity for me to get there early. It was just not possible.
But that brings up kind of another component to some of the like systemic issues in the industry, right? It's like the pay sucks, so we can't afford.
Yeah.
And then the only people who can afford to kind of like stage work for free or like people not clock in for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are the people who, which like I was one of those people because I have a partner who makes money in tech. Like, so it's, the privilege of, already having money.
Right. Yeah. No, there is definitely a privilege for sure. In the sense of, like you said, like either having a partner or like, living with your parents, any type of other source of income other than yourself, like that's going to help you a long way. It's almost like being a chef is like taking up a hobby, essentially. Like you're not going to really see the results right away. Like you're not going to see the payday, like that's a really much like a labor of love. Like you have to like really stick it out in order for you to see the income. And I think for me at the Plumed Horse, like it just wasn't practical for me to like stay there, work from the bottom, get there early, work late, and just work my way through, and then hopefully eventually, work my way up to Sue. Like that, I just don't have the time frame for that. So for me, I had to jump corners, and so I worked my butt off, and figured out what was the best thing for me. And for me, that was moving to catering and things like that and working for myself.
If some of those barriers were removed, like, would you want to be in fine dining, or are there other things about fine dining that you're like, absolutely not?
Honestly, I loved it. If I had my way, if I had a nice sugar daddy, or if I had some like parents who could pay my bills, like sure, I would absolutely love to just show up to work at 2:00. That's the start of my day. Work a really late shift, and then go to bed at 1, 2 in the morning. Like that would have been totally fine for me. Like I think there's so many parts of the fine dining industry that I find so interesting, just down to the ingredients and the fast paced busyness of it all. I know the line and everything kind of like stresses a lot of people out and gives them a lot of anxiety. But for me, I enjoy that rush. I feel like being on the line and having a line full of tickets and things like that gives me so much excitement. And so I almost see it as like, riding a roller coaster. Like I find that so thrilling. And so if I had the opportunity to go back or And, money was not an object. Absolutely. I would totally. Okay, the one thing I would say I do not like about the fine dining industry would be that I just feel like we were a number in an assembly line trying to get things done, and we weren't necessarily seen as humans. And so for me, like as someone who was in the fine dining but also working several jobs, my other jobs weren't taken into consideration. It's like, oh well, you're not here, then you're not dedicated enough. But I'm like, okay, but how am I supposed to afford to live here if I'm not working these other jobs, because you're not paying me the salary? Like if you were to match my salary, I would be here as early as you want me to be. But that's not the case. And I think anytime you took any time for yourself, you're seen as selfish as well. And I would think my exit from the Plume Tourist was basically because I took a vacation that I had planned prior to me starting there. And Chef known, and I told him and things like that. But those are not really either written down or taken in consideration. And so when it came to coming back, it was just a matter of, oh, you just get left shifts now. Like, oh, you weren't here for this time. We managed. Okay, I don't think we need you anymore. So it was very much like a slow push out. And I was like, all right, well, I can take the hint. Like, that's totally fine. It's like I wasn't wanting to leave. It was essentially like a kind of like a push out. So, but that's just how it is, because I prioritize myself, and the industry does not prioritize our own health or wellness or anything. So, and we need time to rest. Like, we're constantly going from 4 to midnight, if not later. And if we don't rest, then we're going to eventually break. And that's one thing I refuse to do as a chef. I'm putting myself first in that.
100%. Oh, love that. That is excellent point. So how have you done that now with you're running your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And well, 2, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You're still working multiple jobs.
Yes, still working multiple jobs, but it's very much different. So as a private chef, I set my own hours essentially. I work with one family. I've been working for them for the last 4 years, which has been great. So I really have a great relationship with them and their kids. I have full menu control. I just cook meals for them 3 times a week. I do the grocery shopping, and that is absolutely it. I work a max of 30 hours a week for them, max. And so Monday through Friday, and then that gives me full weekends, all my mornings, time right now, to do my own thing, which has been great. And, I really enjoyed that. And then as a business, running a business, we always schedule times for us. Me and my business partner, we make it our point to okay, when we see dead points in our schedule or in our catering calendar, okay, we're taking a vacation.
I loved talking to Kiah and getting an update from her. It was really cool to hear her kind of refining some of the things that she was thinking about 5 years ago and then putting it into practice in her own business. And it gives me some hope for the future. Talking about the future and kind of reflecting on the past, I asked Adeline, Courtney, and Kiah all what their biggest takeaway has been for the last 5 years. So it was really interesting to get their 3 very different perspectives.
It's all pretty the same, sadly. It's just very slow change. I don't know what to say. I'm fortunate that I'm running a catering company that. As a female boss, I am excited. That has not failed thus far. Knock on wood. That has been great. So it's those things I have seen change in. I think just regarding just fine dining, because I know back 5 years ago, I told you about my hard times of just as a woman in the kitchen and just not seeing the progression of working up the line and things like that. That was always really tough for me. And so I can't really speak on anyone that I know personally that's still in the industry that's, still dealing with that. But I think it's still present. I think they are talking about the issues and things like that. But are we actually moving the needle? I'm not too sure. I don't think there's been that significant of a change over the last 5 years, sadly.
The biggest takeaway that I have for the we could do better portion is just the general idea of professionalism.
Here's Courtney.
I think that in this pretty loosey-goosey job. You know, you don't have a desk. Like, you have a dress code, sure, but it's ugly. One, it's not very cute. Except my lady chef's polka pants. They're great. If you don't know, now you know. But it's not your typical job. And so the idea that you have this kind of professional standard, I think, goes out the window a lot. And listening back to, and I mean, everyone says this, like, oh, you know, cooks are just a bunch of like outcasts, we're pirates, whatever. Like, no, you're not. You're like, you have a job. You are expected to come in and execute this thing. Like, I'm not saying that it has to be just boring and mundane and there's no fun or anything like that. The opposite. It should be a lot of fun. It should be creative and challenging and full of mistakes and learning. It should be all of those things. This is what I'm choosing to do with my life, or at least my time. You know, maybe you're not going to be in the kitchen for forever, but it's at least what you're doing right now. You know, wouldn't you love to thrive and learn and do well?
I don't think people talk about this enough.
Here's Adeline.
Like, we talk about, oh, it's so hard to find cooks nowadays. It's so hard to find chefs nowadays. You know why. You know why it's so hard. So what are all of these chefs going to do in order to now change the dialect? What are we going to do to change the whole atmosphere of what it is to work in the kitchen and to keep people there? You know, there needs to be like a mass reckoning of healing in the culinary world. And I really don't think we've done that enough.
What's been your biggest takeaway from the last 5 years?
5 years ago, I think I had a really like limited perspective on the restaurant industry. And I mean, I don't know, I still do, but it's grown.
Do you think that you've learned more because you've been doing the podcast and meeting different people and like having conversations?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think it makes you more or less hopeful for the restaurant industry?
I think it's mixed.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the day. I mean, we went to New York in April 2023 and went to Hags with Chef Telly Justice, who we interviewed. And like going to restaurants like that, where it's such like a welcoming, hospitable restaurant and they're doing incredible things with food, but also the environment is like, I wish I could have worked in a restaurant like that. Like, I think that makes me really hopeful. I think I start to get overwhelmed and a little bit cynical when like I think too long and hard about like how big and systemic all of this is. And, you know, shit's hard. But also, like, stuff even on a systemic and like a policy level is changing. Like, let's see, we're recording this the last week of September, like earlier this week or last week. Chicago just passed the like no more tipped minimum wage in Chicago. So that's exciting. And that's like, okay, so like shit can change.
Right.
Just takes a long time.
Yeah, it just happens at a glacier pace.
As we have discussed through this entire episode. Doing this research from the last 5 years was definitely like, oh, cool. Okay.
Right. Like when you see
Glacial
different
pace.
things and then you actually look at the numbers and you're like, whoa, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Makes sense.
What about you? Last 5 years?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think about these things a lot more than I did 5 years ago
Mm-hmm.
because of working on the podcast and like hearing more from people who are in it and on the like floor, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. I feel cynical. It's like I feel like everybody loves to talk about these. It's hard to change things. Like you're saying, the systemic issues are so big. And it's so challenging, and it's so hard to, when you own a business, take those like switches, I think, or like try to do something differently when people are like, well, this is the way we've been doing it. So like, why would we? But I do get really excited, hopeful when I see a new business that's like creating the atmosphere or like work environment they want to see. Like Hags, I think, is a really intentional in that way. And I think that's really rad. I can think of some other businesses I've seen where they're like leading more with a flexible schedule. Not flexible, but like they're not quite as like, we're going to be open every single day of the week because we have to be. And like being a little more like, we're trying and we're putting the mental health of our staff first. And like, so those kind of things make me hopeful, but those are such outliers that it's.
Yeah. And like from a business perspective, I know that I've heard from different folks that are trying to do things differently, like they are still beholden to capitalism.
Yeah, you still got to like pay your staff, and you still got to make rent, and you still got to, I don't know, do everything that is included in a business.
Yeah.
And it's even harder now because everything is stupid expensive because of inflation. So
yeah,
I get that.
So it's complicated and messy.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know.
And like,
it's going to go at a glacial pace.
Yeah,
like
small steps eventually add up. 5 years is a long time, but it's also like a short time. This 5 years has felt like a lifetime.
An eternity.
But
well, yeah. But I think it also, I mean, like we kind of talked about, it really like, it made everybody have to change and like do something. So like, I think a lot of, because everybody's understaffed and like so many people left the industry, it's like, well, all right, we're fucked. So what do we do now? I guess we have to make some change, like look at the schedule and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it's really telling that people were like,
the next 5 years will be interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
2028. Happy 5 years. Happy birthday. Hell yeah.
Hopefully the numbers change more in the next 5 years. But I'm not holding my breath.
Same. Thank you so much for listening to this special mini-series celebrating 5 whole years of Copper and Heat. I can't believe that it's been 5 years already. So wild. So thank you so much for your continued support over the years.
And thanks so much to Courtney, Kiah, and Edelyn for talking with us on this episode and 5 years ago.
We're going to be coming back next week with another very special mini-series that we did in collaboration with the Southern Smoke Foundation. And this collaboration came about because of a chance meeting at a very special event in Charleston that I think y'all should know about.
To be able to look around the room, to be able to see that you're not alone in this.
This is Randy. She's the founder of a food industry conference for women called FAB.
And these are all of the people that have your back and would support you. And the relationships that have come out of it and the decisions, coming back, Katie, even to your interviews that you conducted 5 years ago, you know, people decided whether they were in or out.
The last couple of years, I've been a moderator at FAB, and it was such a great experience. Last year, I met the folks from the Southern Smoke Foundation at FAB, despite my doom and gloom thoughts at the end of this episode. FAB is one of the spots of hope for women in the industry.
As I always say, rest of my pillars of total transparency and zero bullshit, because that's what this industry is. And I think that that's so important, that you want to be able to show people and talk to people your trajectory. I want to celebrate everything. I want to celebrate all of the things that were so hard about it. I want to celebrate and hear about the failures that have molded you to the person you are. I want to celebrate all of those things that became successful and all of those steps in between. And it was really for me that I couldn't have something that wasn't going to be true to what the industry is and really filter out all of the bullshit.
So I've been to Fab twice.
That's Lindsay. She's one of the founders and the executive director of the Southern Smoke Foundation.
And both times I found messages and speakers that were saying things exactly that I needed to hear right then. But also on the business development side, I mean, year one, I got a new client from someone I met at Fab. Year two, we met you, Katie, you know, and lots of supporters of the industry that we'd never met before. And it just opens up all these doors, creates all these relationships. It's a really special place.
Fab will be taking place June 2nd through 4th in Charleston in 2024, and tickets go on sale on March 4th. So mark your calendars now so that you don't miss it. This episode was produced by me, Katie Osuna, and...
Oh, me, Rachel Palmer.
Music was by Ricardo Osuna. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.